If we're going to take these problems seriously, if we're going to say that applying data science for social good is something we value and think is important, then we need to try and do more. We need to find ways to have deeper engagements with these problems and to tackle the hardest, most complex challenges. Challenges like, how can we quantify the violence in Syria? And not just quantify it, but how can we study the patterns of violence? And not just study the patterns, but use them to raise questions about accountability. This is a news article from earlier this year discussing the United Nations Commission of Inquiry calling on the international community to not wait until the end of the ongoing conflict in Syria to begin investigating war crimes, and perhaps even to pursue trials for those crimes. Now, this is bound to be a very complicated investigation. It will raise a lot of questions, but one of those questions is surely going to be, how many people have been killed in Syria? And this was the question that the United Nations brought to us in 2012, when they first, at the time, had access to 4 different lists of named victims in that conflict. And they brought that data to us and they said, what can we do with this? Can you help us make sense of this information? And we collaborated with them for a couple of years. This is the last report that we published in August 2014, but that headline needs 2 additional modifiers. Specifically, this describes the number of documented, identifiable victims who've been killed in Syria up to this point. Now, if you pause and reflect on war and conflict, it rapidly becomes clear that the number of documented, identifiable victims is but a subset of the total number of victims who've been killed. Because inevitably, there are victims whose names we do not yet know, whose stories have not yet been told. And our job as scientists is to estimate what we don't know.